Thank you, Christoph. And hello, everyone. My name is Ying. I'm a third-year PhD student from Durham University Business School. It's really my pleasure to be here today because I'm really a junior researcher here, and I really learned a lot today. This paper is part of my PhD research, so my co-authors are also my supervisors, Jeremy Arrows and Bernd Brando. And the paper I want to share with you today is becoming or not becoming a side hustler, an investigation into the role and qualities of the working life framework in the gig economy. Here is the outline of today's presentation. I will first introduce my background and then its methodology, and then I will show my results, and finally is the discussion part. First is the background part. As we know, works in the gig economy is very different from the traditional 9-to-5 job. For example, the gig economy includes a wide variety of work forms and is more flexible. In this paper, we focus more on the phenomenon of side hustling. Although there are many debates on what is side hustling, in common, side hustling is full-time employees participating in income-generating work that is separate from their full-time jobs. Traditional employment attitudes towards side hustlers are very complicated. Some firms can be very resistant to side hustling, but others, some studies have shown that side hustling can enrich full-time work performance. So I think that is really interesting thing. As I just mentioned, there is a big difference between the gig economy and traditional work. Side hustling seems to be a co-concept in the gig economy. It is because gig workers have the flexibility to schedule and participate in different kind of online platforms. To focus on side hustlers in the gig economy, we redefine side hustling as here, side hustling is referring to a context where someone, in addition to their contracted full-time employment, engages in additional work mediated through or conducted via online platforms. In traditional jobs, workers choose to hold multiple jobs for a variety of reasons. Some of them may just do so for like supplement of their income. Thereby, they can improve their standard of living or mitigate their career-related risks. Some of them do so for their own career development. They may think that both task diversity as well as the skill development are very important. And others may simply feel that working multiple jobs in a way for them to achieve their ambitions and to have fresh experiences. However, the determinant of side hustling in context of the gig economy has not yet to be studied systematically. Our study looks at whether the quality of working life dimensions affect gig workers' decision to become side hustlers. More specifically, we focus on individuals who, in addition to their contracted job, create and upload contents on digital platforms. So we, based on the quality of working life scales, systematic scales by Easton and Wendler, we developed 6 variables that covers various relevant dimensions to analyze the decision to become a side hustler. And these 6 items can be divided into 4 dimensions. I will introduce briefly here. So you can see here are 4 dimensions of our framework. So first one is the flexibility. There is no doubt that flexibility is very important in gig economy. So here, flexibility is the degree to which individual has the control over when, where, and how they engage in various work activity. And the second dimension is control at work, which reflects the level at which workers can influence and control their work environment. And third one is working conditions, includes the extent to which individuals are satisfied with their working conditions, including the physical workplace, in order to perform their job effectively. And finally is recognition, means that gig workers receive positive feedback for some maybe positive work achievement, which may be provided by the platform, that is unlike the traditional work. Based on these 4 dimensions, we propose our 4 hypotheses. Flexibility is, there's no doubt that is the essential for gig workers. Since platforms can provide flexibility to workers in different ways, so we will investigate and test the hypothesis the basis of 2 different measures. First, we will investigate whether the platform provide content providers adequate facilities and flexibility to fit working around family life will positively predict the side hustling. And the second one is whether platforms actively promote flexible working hours and patterns can positively predict side hustling. Similar to flexibility in the control at work dimension, we also consider 2 perspectives. These 2 perspectives include whether content creators are able to express their own wishes and whether they are able to participate in decision making. Based on previous research, we believe that workers are more motivated to participate in work if they have more control. So we assume that the control at work dimension can also positively influence workers' side hustling. However, it is worth noting that we believe that this effect may not be such significant because control at work is indeed critical for workers' primary work, but may not be such important for them to for their work that is not primary work. The third hypothesis is related to working conditions. We suggest that if the platform provides more supportive working conditions, it may positively affect workers' side hustling. However, we also believe that this effect will not be too pronounced because in the gig economy context, workers are normally work from home or anywhere they want. So only when they have this kind of working conditions, they will consider to be a side hustler. And finally, the fourth hypothesis is related to recognition. Previous studies have shown that recognition by line managers is a very important component of quality of working life. We hypothesize that workers who are able to receive recognition are more willing to hold multiple jobs. However, since in the gig economy, there is no line manager, so but rather the platform manages the by algorithm. So we do not believe here that this relationship would be such significant, although we hypothesize that the dimension of recognition positively predicts side hustling. Next is the methodology section. Our data were collected between January and March 2022, and our respondents are from China, Europe, the UK, and US. Our survey was conducted in 2 languages, English and Mandarin, and our assembly method is snowballing. At the very beginning of the survey, there will be a logic question to identify whether the respondents are content creators or not. Only if the respondents select yes, they will be direct to the survey in this study. This table shows the characteristic of our participants. I will not go details into it because we do not have too much time, but you can see our participants' characteristic here. We use logistic regression to analyze the result and bootstrapping to prove the robustness of the data. And here is the results part. As you can see now, we tested a total of 3 models. And in any case, while the group of individuals with a lower income can be assumed to become a side hustler to earn their living, the other group of side hustler can be assumed to provide contents to platforms without facing any financial pressure. This means that other type of contents might be provided. So you can see from our model 1 and model 2, the model 1 we didn't control the income related variables, and the model 2 we didn't control the type of contents related variables. And however, since the type of content and the monetary or income context of individuals are not necessarily independent, in Model 3, we include a full set of control variables that included all control from the previous models. From the result of the logistic regression, only the first 2 of the 6 items related to flexibility are significant. So we accept hypothesis 1A and 1B, which means that if the platform provides the flexibility to balance to the content creators, the workers will be more inclined to join the gig economy and become kind of side hustlers. However, for the other 3 hypotheses, our regression results show that none of them were significant. This means that control at work, working conditions, and recognition are not determinants of the side hustling by workers. For the control variable, we also find something interesting. First, we find that income matters, and higher income groups are more highly correlated to side hustling. At the same time, we recognize that side hustlers who provide content on the platform are motivated by a variety of things that go far beyond the money. We also find that typical side hustlers have 1 or even 2 contracted jobs. In addition, there are differences between countries, which may be the result of cultural differences or legal differences. I will not go into details here because that is beyond what we are going to discuss today. Next, I will show you the theoretical and practical implication of our paper. In this paper, we want to address the question of which factors are the determinants of engaging in side hustling under the gig economy? This question has become very important and urgent because the pandemic has brought about fundamental changes in the way that people view work and in the way work itself is organized. At the same time, the policy debate on the work and life quality framework has taken its place on the public agenda as reflected in the media. Second, we have enriched the research related to side hustling. We found that flexibility plays a significant role in an individual's decision to become a side hustler, which is in line with research on other work manifestations of the gig economy. In recent years, research in this area has evolved as people increasingly choose to engage in more than just one job. And third, and most importantly, our research is also important because our study is based on the context of gig economy. Where there are fundamental differences between the gig works and the traditional work. Our research shows that not all dimensions of quality of working life can be applied in gig work, so we need to revisit the theoretical framework of the quality of life in the context of the gig economy. Practically, we present our views from the perspectives of both platforms and policymakers. Platforms should provide sufficient flexibility for content creators to attract them to join the platform. At the same time, platforms do not need to pay too much attention to other dimensions, as these factors are not determinants for side hustling by contracted workers. Also, for policymakers, it is necessary to develop and presumably also to reform labor law in a way that is fit for flexibility needs in the gig economy. Finally, is the limitations and further research of this paper. The first limitation is the sample generalizability. First, we only consider China, US, UK, and Europe, and did not consider samples from other countries. We also did not explore the reasons why the differences exist between countries. We think it would be quite interesting if we could include this in the future studies. Also, we did not take into account within country variation. For example, the gap between rural area and urban area. There are also differences in employment opportunities between different kind of regions of the country. So it would be interesting if we, if in the future studies we consider focus on the side hustlers between the rural area and urban areas. The third point is that we did not consider the heterogeneity among content creators and also the platforms they use. Although it is very complicated, we think it would be very interesting to investigate this point. Then in this study, there is no distinction between the extent of side hustling. For example, whether participants' side hustling is loose, which means people only work maybe 1 hour per week, or intensive, which means people work maybe several hours per day. We believe it is meaningful to distinguish the degree of side hustling as well. Finally, despite controlling for income in our study, we did not examine in detail the role of content creators in obtaining income and how these roles explain the stress of side hustling. We think that these studies will be quite interesting as well. Thank you for your attention, and any comments, please?